everybody. Welcome back to Up the Buff, your new Buffy rewatch or first time watch podcast. And today we're going to be diving into the second episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the second part of the season premiere called The Harvest. And I'm your resident buff, Tony.
And I am your no buff, David. No buff. I am
No buff.
David. I have no buffs to give.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see you in the buff.
Nobody, including my wife, wants to see me in the buff. Oh my God, could you think of anything worse? Anyway, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in for our second episode. Thank you for downloading our second episode. You don't tune a podcast.
That was good.
Welcome to the new show with me, your resident David Jackson, and your buff, Tony Webster.
Oh, that was very good. That was very like when you put on that Better Sleep app.
And
it's like
to better sleep. Now take a deep breath in. And out again. Yeah, but one time I was doing one of those mindful things and my phone died halfway at the breath in, and then it's like take a deep breath in, and then my phone died.
Oh my God.
I was just like a big fucking blueberry. No joke.
Oh, well, that can be very dangerous. You can starve yourself of oxygen, and that would probably explain why you're doing this podcast with me.
Yes,
what?
I am your resident. I have seen a few episodes of Buffy, but I'm watching this basically for the first time again from the very beginning. Like I've never seen it before, so you're here to watch along with me. If you're new to it, if you're also a Buffy nerd like Tony, you'll love all of his tidbits that he has as we go through this episode. So Tony, with that, please take us away with The Harvest. Talk me through what is the crack. We were left with someone about to hunt Buffy.
No.
Oh.
I'm done with this podcast. Sorry, I got distracted because I really liked what you were saying. I
actually knew the whole time you weren't listening to me. I was watching you and I was like, he's not listening to me.
No,
I'm going to go back to him and he's going to go.
No, what I was, that's the thing.
ADHD.
I was distracted by actually how good and natural it sounded that I almost like, I zoned out because it was like I was listening to someone else's podcast.
I do the same thing that you're talking to. Like keep, like listen. I'm just genuinely listening.
That explains why you miss all the cues. And welcome to the final episode of Up the Buff.
I think that should be the start of it. Did you know if we went welcome to the final episode?
Yeah.
No. Yes. Talk us through.
Yes. Well, stop telling me to talk us through. I was maybe going to say something else first. I was maybe going to say, basically, it's an excuse for us to just hang out and talk about Buffy and to spend some time together as friends since we love each other.
And with that, Tony, take it away with The Harvest. Episode 2, Season 1 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What is happening? So someone is about to kill Buffy, and that's the end of the show, right?
So basically, the last episode ended with the Tim Curry, Arnold Schwarzenegger vampire jumping into the grave with Buffy, and he's about to bite her. And we're off. Here we go.
Perfect. And for anyone that's decided to start our podcast with this episode, and it's like, Tim Curry, Arnold Schwarzenegger, what? Please go back and listen to our first episode, and you'll hear why Tony thinks this guy sounds, and to be fair, sounds exactly like Tim Curry.
Yeah, because it's a bit like Nigel Thornberry, who was voiced by Tim Curry.
You are Nigel Thornberry? Did we take it all?
Smashing. Actually, not the word I'd use.
So we're straight into this episode. Luke is about to kill Buffy, but thank he met the manager of the Days Inn earlier on in the alleyway and he gave her that necklace because he gets burnt by it and fucks away off. And he just disappears. So we're starting on an action-packed kind of scene where Buffy gets out of the grave and she's able to save Willow and Xander. She takes out a couple of vampires. We get to see how resourceful Buffy is, and we find out that Darla has taken Jesse. And we cut straight into kind of Giles and Buffy are telling Willow and Xander that how demons and vampires are real. And Buffy kind of says, you know, like, oh, that's, you know, oh, it was just a trick of the light or whatever, to kind of tell them, like, I used to say these things all the time. So it's great. We're getting straight into them knowing Buffy's identity and wanting to help.
Scooby Gang. Straight into the Scooby Gang.
Yeah, that's it. Gang. And the thing is, it doesn't even feel... I think if you were to watch something else nowadays where people were to accept something so fast, it would feel like it's not being earned. But there was just something that, the way it's written and everything, it feels earned. You know, it doesn't feel out of place.
I agree with you. And I think it's just because we, as an audience nowadays, expect more. because we don't believe is easy. Like, generally,
Yep.
we don't believe anyone ever unless it's our specific thing. So I think, therefore, and I actually don't like this trope that now exists in the world where you can't. I like the fact you're just expected to suspend your disbelief. Like, you're always like, sorry, I'm about to go rant here. So
Blah, blah, blah. I've heard it, okay?
I hate that things get over-explained in TV shows now, where everything has to make sense in our world, and I'm
Yeah.
like, but they don't exist in our world. So the only thing I ever get pissed off is when the rules within its own world don't make sense.
Oh, why can't you people just leave me alone?
Maybe that might come up at some point. We'll talk about it then. I think in the 90s,
1990s in point of fact.
everyone was willing to just go along with stuff, and that we're just
Yeah.
happy to be like, and also, you don't want the real world. You want to like remove yourself for a little while because everything at the minute anyway. So let me just live in this wee fantasy world where this wee tiny blonde girl can beat up vampires.
I mean, if you're watching a TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you're
Yeah.
not really willing to accept that her mates are okay with her being a vampire slayer, you've got bigger problems.
100% agree.
Yeah,
100%
inbred. Inbred.
And Brett.
So this is where we get like a wee kind of glimpse into the first kind of setup of the Scooby Gang,
Yeah.
and Willow hacks into the council to get the plans of like the sewer network so she can try to figure out where the vampires have taken Jesse.
One of my favorite things that, again, one of those tropes in TV shows where there's the person who can just hack into really secure systems that is
Yeah.
16, that doesn't look like she can use computers, but for some reason that's the nerd that she is. Maybe that's, do you
Yeah.
know, like, you don't
Well,
get
Will-
an impression
Will-
from the
Willow
first
very-
episode.
No, Willow has got her long red hair and she's wearing like a pinafore dress with white tights. She looks like she spends her time hacking computers.
Fair enough. I just mean
Yeah.
like that thing of like, I just,
But they do very much build her up to be like an academic. You know, like
yes, I know,
she's-
she ends up being very smart. She is very smart.
She's a nerd, you know. Even Cordelia says in the first episode, like, once you can identify your nerds all by sight.
See, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's just one of those tropes, TV trope things that I'm always a bit like, I'm happy to go along with, but it's like, I get that we need the plot to find out how they're blah blah blah. I get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm a bit like, I like when TV shows are a bit smarter with that.
Sure, Jan.
Coming off the back of what we were just talking about, Xander wants to help Buffy find Jesse, but Buffy says no. And Xander is so, if you watch for
Yeah,
anyone
he's like-
else who's at home,
As if he got broken up with.
yeah, he's raging about it. She's like, no, you'll slow me down or whatever, which I
She will.
absolutely love. And we were just talking about Willow and her computer skills. She's in the lab and she sees that Cordelia and her friends are talking about Buffy, and Cordelia is recounting the story of how Buffy attacked her with the stick, and she's like, Buffy ran out at me screaming, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you, I swear.
I forgot how funny that was until I was just reading that note. So Willow hears that they're slagging Buffy off, and they're asking for help on how to print out their homework, their coursework, their GCSE home economics. It's like, how do I print off this chicken fricassee menu?
Excuse me? Who gave you permission to exist?
And Willow's like, press deliver, and they press deliver and delete all the coursework, which is actually real. I mean, that's probably the meanest thing that's happened so far.
I didn't think so, but completely deserved. And Willow gets her chance to stand up. I love that bit. I actually
Yeah.
really like that bit. It was
It's like smart person. It's like when smart people get one over on the bullies
yeah,
by being smart.
yeah. Brilliant.
You know,
Love that scene. Thought it was really
it's
good.
great. So now we're cutting back to Buffy trying to figure out how the vampires got away so fast, and she figures there must be an entrance to the sewers in the mausoleum,
Mhm.
the Ulster mausoleum. So this is where we found out the name of the mysterious stranger who was doing strange things mysteriously in the alleyway when Buffy was getting her gold medal at the Olympics.
Yeah. I was
That was-
fully committed to that. I was like,
It was a mouthful, wasn't it?
that was a mouthful, and you've taken you've taken a lot of mouthfuls in your
I've
years.
taken
So
fair.
fair
How do you know? I've taken a lot of mouthfuls in
You've
my
told
years.
me, you've
I
told
know,
me
that's
in,
true.
in great detail. And we can actually say his name now as well.
Angel.
It's Angie.
Angie.
Buffy meets Big Angela.
Big Ange. Big
Yes.
Ange.
So this
Angel.
gorgeous man is called Angel, which for
course.
some reason doesn't seem that gay, but it's a really I was gonna say I can't say that, but I'm gay, so I guess I can't say that. But the only other character I know called Angel is literally Angel from Rent.
Today for you, tomorrow for me.
Which, to be fair, now that I'm thinking about it, it's a pretty wick name, but also kind of cool because he's like, you know, wait, how
But
much
you don't know.
anything? No, you don't know.
That's
Right, okay.
but that's okay. That's, you know,
To be fair, that is a real 90s guy name to be called Angel.
The 90s.
It's funny because people who ship Buffy and Angel call them Bangel, but every time I read it, I always read it as Bangle.
It would be Bangle. Angel. Bangle, yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know anything else about him except his name.
Angel.
And the
Which
fact
is-
that Buffy's still willing to talk to him without really knowing anything about him. That's really it. And he
If
just
he
says,
came up and started talking to you, though, you would talk to him forever.
I'd be like, don't give me your name because I don't want to know it.
Okay.
I'd rather just, yeah. That's not how the NSA grinder meets in the mausoleum work.
Yeah, remember your grinder mates and mausoleums?
Say hello to Grinder's newest grindee.
Well, yes.
Get to see
Okay.
some of that chemistry between Buffy and Angel. There's a bit of
Yes.
chemistry there. You can tell there's a wee spark or something. This isn't a
Yeah.
spoiler. You can just tell, obviously, the two most attractive people in the show.
Yeah.
Chemistry is flying.
So he basically tells Buffy, like, there's a door right there. You can go down into the sewers. Sure. And she's like, wish me luck. And he doesn't do it until she walks away. And then he goes,
Good luck.
And she's like, huh?
and it's like, oh, sorry, did you say something?
Huh? And she goes back to the door going, what? Sorry? Did you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And my,
Any... Huh?
and my note actually says, mysterious man is Angel. Good luck, whisper, gay boy.
Good luck.
You know, we're not really committing to this second episode as being like Angel's acting masterclass.
Yeah, true.
Although the funny thing is, he's probably been the most consistent working actor out of all of them because he went literally from Buffy to Angel to Bones.
Bones.
So despite Buffy putting her foot down because she's the boss, Xander catches up to Buffy, just decided to completely disregard everything she said. And obviously he knows better because she's just a girl and he's a man.
Now go away.
No.
This is the thing about men.
Men!
Trash!
And this is a theme of Buffy in general. Men are very intimidated by strong women.
Yeah.
And that's really just about life anyway. Sorry, I really just went off on one.
Blah, blah, blah. Earth sucks.
Even though she's like very clearly showed that she can handle at the start of the episode, she's killing all the vampires and she's saving Willow and Xander essentially, and then he still is like, no, I'll come help you.
I couldn't just sit at home and do nothing.
Well, this is the thing. It does get you into some tricky territory because it is also like if someone who doesn't have powers comes along thinking he has to help, then Buffy really has to then spend her time trying to make sure that that person doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the distracting part of it, which kind of happens a bit here when we see basically that they get ambushed by vampires and we find out that Jesse has been turned and he's now a
Yes.
vampire. Which he looks even hotter as a vampire.
Yeah, he does actually. He has that
He's got the face.
thing
He's got the face for those
Just a-
wrinkles.
because he's got a really long face.
Yeah,
Did they have to
Yeah,
put
so-
extra wrinkles on his?
yeah, they did actually, and that's actually where the joke originates. Eric Balfour walks into a bar, and the barman says,
I was like, where are you going with it? All right, the horse joke.
"Oh,
Sorry. Very good. It is late at night and we are getting silly.
Yeah.
I love it so
I
much.
know that was awful." We're actually bullies who bully people based on their physical appearance, actually. So our next
Yeah.
podcast is going to be we're going to have and we're going to ask her how you victimized
How many of you have ever felt personally victimized by
Tony or Tatum.
I've been victimized by both of us.
So we actually get into a pretty kind of intense scene here with the vampires where Buffy and Xander get kind of cornered and the vampires are breaking in through the steel door.
Mhm.
And the way this is filmed, obviously all in like tight quarters and stuff, I actually think it's quite a good, tense
Yeah.
kind of scene. I am a bit nervous.
It's quite like
Yeah. And obviously we know they're not necessarily going to die. Well, maybe we don't, because one of the main characters has already just died and become a vampire.
that we know.
And he was one of the more prominent actors. So we do see them escape this ambush, and they get up through the grating. I actually wrote through the grating, and it was afterwards I was like, it's so funny because I don't think anyone else calls it a grating.
What is it called?
It's
Okay, I have a question.
A manhole cover.
The manhole cover. So for anyone that
I'm
isn't,
bent over.
if anyone, would you like to be my manhole cover? Sorry, no, he. Sorry, I'm just so silly now. Grating, a grating. I don't even think it's grating. It's just a grating.
No, it's a grating, yeah.
What we call in Northern Ireland, in Belfast specifically, a manhole cover a grating. But it's also this come up. This is I'm digressing. I don't care. But like a couple of months ago, I also referred to it as a grating, and I was like, "What is a grating?" It's such a weird word, especially in our accent as well. It's a horrible word. Grating. Grating.
Yeah. It's literally just grating.
But he pulls him up. The Sander don't help Buffy out of the grating. Isn't that right?
Yeah. No. Yes. He pulls her up out of the grating, and a vampire grabs her leg. And it's kind of funny because they were just in a graveyard, but then they come up through the grating and they're in like a power plant.
Oh yes.
Weird. And that's when we see that vampire rules typically apply. They see the sun go in the vampire's hand and it gets all burnt.
Also, that's another Chekhov's gun. Do you not think? That the old, if you talk about the gun in the first act, you're gonna have to show the gun in the third act.
Yes.
So they've shown the sun burning someone, but then later on in the third act, we see that little
that kind of comes
as a trick.
Yeah.
Yes, later on, which I thought was really interesting because the only reason why you know that exists is because of that one scene where you see the vampire's hand getting burnt. So I thought that was quite clever, Joss Whedon.
That's brilliant. Well, now you spoiled the end of the episode for everyone listening.
But they've already seen it because everyone's watching with us.
Yeah, welcome to the final episode. So the Master is absolutely raging.
I should be drinking her heart's blood right now.
The Master is livid.
Yeah.
Like, I have never seen someone more livid than him. Whenever
his big wrinkly ballsack face, rage.
Yeah. He's like, you like Damascus. You know, it's just going, he's going full on mental. Like your ma, if you come home like 10 minutes late and you do that, you set your watch like 10 minutes, going like, no, my watch says whatever. And they're like, do you think I came up the wagon and I f***ed double?
Yes. I never did that watch thing. That's so genius.
I tried that so many times. My dad just clocked it all the time.
Clocked it? Very good.
He clocked that T, sis.
What? He clocked that?
He clocked that T.
Don't know what that means.
Oh, this is also going to be like lessons on how to speak gay.
Oh, this is one of those new things I've never heard of. Spill the tea is nonsense.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, spill the gossip. Yeah, you don't spill the tea, you drink the tea.
I think we did this part wrong.
Kira was telling me about this. Spill the tea is a whole thing, or give us the tea, or something the tea. And I was like,
yes,
you don't
but
spill
the
the tea, though.
No, but the T doesn't stand for tea.
I didn't know that this was a colloquial term used nowadays to talk about that's goth.
Well, it's not really.
That's it. Maybe.
Happy Pride Gay.
Yeah.
So the Master's raging.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Master's raging that they've escaped, and he decides to punish the vampire by poking him in his eye.
Right, that was great. That was a good bit of like. But that like it's good to see a bit of proper evil. Like that's one of those like here's how evil he is. He abuses his own staff, and that's like, I didn't know Joss Whedon was writing himself again in the show, was he?
Oh well, that's it. That's it. That's it. Boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say wayo.
Wayo. I'm proud of that one. I felt like that was a good little terrible joke.
Yeah, that was good. And I just love it.
His eye out. Does he pull the eye out or just poke it?
I think he kind of like L drivers it.
Yeah.
Like the worst thing about that is probably just imagine the bacteria under those mad fucking fingernails. Cokenail pink eye.
They made him look amazing. To be fair, I want to go back to that. Like the Master,
yeah,
looks scary as fuck. He just
Yeah.
does look scary as fuck. It's a great, proper bit of old school, big, scary monster. It's
There
actually
is-
kind of nice that he is.
There's a kind of Hammer horror like vibe
Yeah.
to the Master. I guess because there's that kind of Nosferatu kind of element.
It has that vibe, yeah. But it's great though,
Yeah.
because it's bringing that like old school vampiric lore to the wee blonde girl that beats the fuck out of him. So it's cool.
Yep. But the wee blonde girl that beat the fuck out of him. That's it. That was actually the synopsis given by the WB.
Yeah.
So we continue on kind of with the finding out a bit more about the Master's plan,
I plan on taking over the world.
and basically he gives Luke a blood tattoo on his head,
It's a Mexican drinking worm.
Yeah.
and he basically is like, "Be my vessel. Anyone you drink, I'll get the energy from them as well." He writes it at PowerPoint. Anybody you drink, I'll get it. He basically is like selling Avon, the vampire version. He started a pyramid scheme to make his way out, or Arbonne makeup.
You've lost me now. You've
It's
lost
like-
me at the Arbonne.
Oh, okay. It's just like Avon, you know.
You just went too gay.
You get a function.
You went too gay.
You wish.
In your dreams.
But they're actually, I don't know if you noticed this, but the scene where Luke is in front of the Master, getting anointed, it really looks like he's giving him a blowjob.
Oh, fuck yes, my queen.
Yes. We're just dirty minded bastards. Look,
That's
it
it.
was quite cool. So the whole point. So I'm going to go on plot here for a second. So basically, anytime that Luke drinks, that gets magically sent to the Master, and it makes him strong. Why is he stuck?
Yeah, this is what we're about to find out.
Right.
So basically, because we see this part before we find out why he's stuck, because
Yes.
I guess they're just trying to build the mystery.
Mhm.
So he anoints Luke. Luke becomes the vessel, and it says the vessel will help drink blood and set the Master free.
Drink it. Drink it.
So Giles is explaining that the Master came to Sunnydale about 60 years ago and tried to open the Hellmouth.
But he blew it. Or, I mean, there was an earthquake that swallowed half the town, and him too.
He basically got trapped kind of between
The world.
dimensions. Yeah, and it's
Right,
not
okay.
like it's almost literally between
Yeah.
worlds, because he's not in like a different dimension, but the energy of like the Hellmouth has got him trapped.
I actually thought that was class. I like that
Yeah,
little explanation.
and this is a very specific timing that this ritual called the harvest can be performed, where Luke is the vessel.
My body is your instrument.
And your penis is the star.
Starring your penis.
Why is the timing? Why the harvest now specifically? It just happens to be that.
It's
date?
just it's to do with like the third moon, blah blah blah.
Too much talking, too much talking, too much talking, too much talking, too much talking.
I will ask you loads of stuff about the lore. That is the bit that I like the most about it. Is that like going into like, so why this, why that?
Yeah.
I'm hoping you might have those answers. So I hope other listeners are like me and really enjoy the lore stuff. So anyway,
Yeah.
continue, Tone Bone.
So basically, then they're trying to figure out where they think this is going to happen potentially, and Xander suggests it might be the Bronze, because that's where there'll most likely be a big gathering of people.
Come on, all those tasty young morsels all over the place.
I was going to say maybe Thompson's or the Bot, but
Thompson. See, to be fair, the Bronze does look a bit like Thompson's. Like that sort of factory, the balcony bit, yeah, and it's gross. Except,
Yeah.
and there's also loads of 16-year-olds in there too.
We got reports of underage drinking in here.
yeah, I'd shit myself there too.
Did you shit your pants?
That's true. Do you remember the time? This is it. Do you remember our great story about Thompson's? I think we're far enough away now that we can tell this story.
I don't know if I know.
Where we went to Thompson's one night, and the only reason why me and you were in Thompson's was because in school that day we were class.
Oh, was that the same day?
We were in that day, and she's like, "What do you?" It was a Friday.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, let me tell the story to people who don't know.
In a faraway land, long ago, lived a king and his fair queen.
Tony and I have known each other since we're about 11 years old. We went to school together. Did we meet on the bus and sit beside each other? I think was there
No.
only space beside you on the bus, is what I remember. But you have a better
No.
memory than me with your ADHD, so
We first met it was like after school music, and it was in the porta cabin that was like way up the first one on the right when you walked into
Yes.
school. So David and I went to one of the first integrated schools in Northern Ireland. And the funny thing for anyone listening who's not from Northern Ireland, integrated to us is Protestant and Catholic.
Oh, Protestants like to march and Catholics like to walk.
And
Yes, don't
what,
mind
no.
people.
Yeah,
We allowed 10% for others. Remember, it was
yeah, that's right.
40% had to be
Mausoleum.
Protestant, 40% had to be Catholic, and 20% had to be other. And it was
Yeah.
the term other.
Come on, let's find the others.
At this stage, it must have been maybe like a week or something into school, because I think you were still with Melissa. You were sitting. Melissa was there as well, and it was like the first after
It was
school.
Clara Alexander.
Clara, that was it, and she was saying that how you were a great singer. And I was sitting a couple of desks away. I think that's just how we started talking.
To me,
And
it's a
remem-
memory. Sorry, go ahead. You keep going with yours.
And I just remember we were singing. I was with Gillian Millen, and we were singing From a Distance.
You see, that's way later on for me. That's
No,
like,
From a Distance did happen later, but that was also Miss Mitchell's first song. She played on the keyboard, on the small keyboard on her desk.
see, I remember Michael Jackson being played, but then this is my problem, folks. I have a terrible memory when it comes to my childhood for many different reasons. So the memory exists could be from 3 different years, and
Yeah.
I merged them all as one memory, which is a nightmare. Because my thing is that I met you on the bus, because you used to get the bus from your house that went past my estate, and then back when we had to go to that school, the bus used to pick us up. I met you first on the bus.
Oh,
I remember going like, "Can I sit beside you?" And you were like, "Yeah," and that was it. And then we just, you know that thing when you first
I was
like, is like,
yeah,
you're like, "Yeah,
that's
sexy.
me.
Yeah, look at that big boy." To be fair, we barely both fit. No, we didn't. We weren't that big when we were kids. So yes. Anyway, that's what I mean.
People walked up the other like, "Can we ride you to school?"
Yeah, yeah. And that teacher got kicked out. No. So we went to school together. Did A-level music together. A-level is like the last sort of part of our school here in the UK. For anyone that's not from the UK that's listening. And we did 3 subjects. I did music. Tony did music. We did drama together. Tony did drama, and I did business studies. You did English. Is that right?
Yes, English. I certainly did.
So we got a new. This may all get cut or be used for something else. We got a new Miss Baps, which is good because no one knows who that is. So Miss Baps,
Yes.
she was simply called Miss Baps because she had big boobs, and she was like 24, 25.
This doesn't do my Babs any justice.
It is. I'm not proud that the nickname she got was Miss Baps. It is not a nickname I would just randomly give to a woman this day. But I was a teenage boy and she had big boobs, and she was so.
That's so funny. I never called her Miss Babs. I just remember Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes, she was mad. That's a whole other story. Got it. So me and Tony are someday. We're both 18 at this point. We're a couple of months before we're leaving school. We're doing this new actually. I don't actually anymore, so it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
Get I don't care. No one's ever going. She's never going to listen to this. So
Yeah.
Miss Baps.
We weren't illegal anyway, were we?
No, I think though she could get in trouble because of what I'm about to tell.
Oh, okay.
Naughty boy.
So we were 18, she's about 24, 25, and let's be honest, me and Tony are good crack. You're not listening to this podcast if we have good crack, right? So she's like, they're good crack. Her and her school, her teacher mates were going out to Thompson.
Just don't call it disgusting, just in case that if anyone does listen and we don't want them to say anything. We want sponsored by the Thompson. By Thompson.
Thompson's Garage. Fair.
Yeah.
So we're in school that day. We're having a crack with the teacher, and she's like, "What are you up to this weekend?" We're like, "Nothing." She's like, "I'm going out with some friends on the Friday night to this bar called Thompson's. You should come out." This bar, we were like, "No problem." Me and Tony's like, "This is so cool. We're going out with our teacher, blah, 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 blah." Rock up at this bar.
Who the fuck would ever be like, "This is still cool. We're going out with our kid." It's funny because back then it was like, it was cool.
Wow, this is so cool.
I'm sorry. It was cool to like, if you had like a young sort of fit teacher in school and they wanted to even talk to you outside school, and you're like, that was cool in school. It's naff now, but it was cool then. But when we went out that night, the thing is quite famous about Thompson's, allegedly, not allegedly, I've witnessed it, is people take a lot of drugs at Thompson's. It's kind of what it's famous for. So the teacher who didn't take drugs, some of her friends may have sampled in some of the dark arts, I remember her then absolutely fucking panicking and had to like, come on, I'll take you home or something to get us out of there because her. Do you not remember this?
I don't. And I normally have a really good memory about things.
What,
I
we went
vaguely
out with her
remember.
and she took drugs. Not her, sorry. Her friends had taken drugs, and then she suddenly had that moment of, oh fuck, I could actually like get arrested or something here because even though we're all over the
I
age of
do
18,
vaguely remember, like, all of a sudden we had to leave.
yeah, it's because she was like, "We'll get you a taxi home."
Did we start the night in like Bert's Piano Bar?
I think it was something like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere like that. Somewhere fancy.
And this was after she had taken us out for lunch and bought us our lunch and a drink at the King's Head.
Were we being groomed?
Actually, now that you say it like that, it does.
No,
sound
we're
like
18 and ugly. There's no way. 18 and
Well,
ugly.
Yeah, well, we weren't 18, but we were ugly probably. No, we
Yeah,
were
true.
we were 17, but we always looked a bit older.
Anyway, that's a story
Anyway.
that'll probably get cut anyway. It's just one of my favorite stories. It's actually, I can't believe you can't remember that story. I tell everyone about the time I went out and did drugs with a teacher, which is obviously not
so
the story,
funny.
but that's a story I tell people.
I always remember her buying them. Sorry, I always remember her buying us drinks at the King's Head one day when we were meant to be in our class.
I don't remember that. I do remember our other who was having a breakdown from her marriage and took us out of her class to take her to coffee to see if she was okay. She took us to Arizona. Do you not
Which
remember
one?
this, Jerry?
Which Okay, I'll beep that name.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that was the reason why. I don't think I was as close to her as what you were.
I was quite close to her, and she was going through and is now divorced from that husband. But
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
But I do remember, like, people had this kind of weird relation. Obviously, my last couple of years in school, because that I kind of came out, and then I had my big Christian experience, and then I was a Christian. So I think a lot of teachers were very confused about how to deal with me because it seemed like I had changed.
yeah, and that
Right.
sometimes used to come in and pretend you were blind. So it used to be quite
Yeah.
confusing for them.
Yeah, that was quite good actually.
What do we do with him?
So Xander suggests the bot. I mean,
Yeah.
Tom's the Bronson. Sorry, got confused. So Buffy's getting ready to get all the shit together to go end things, and her mum's like, "I just got a call from your principal,
I
the
love
massive
this bit.
tout."
I love this bit. Mr. Flutie.
Yeah,
Love the name.
and Buffy gets grounded because the tout principal went and touted on her basically that she's been sneaking out of school. So obviously Buffy's mum's concerned because she was going on the beak. But no, like it's not like she was really going on the beach. She was going to try and save her friend from becoming a vampire, which is so funny. Buffy literally does it once, gets caught and grounded. I literally went on the beach so many times in the cinema to see Crossroads, Jurassic Park 3. My most famous Beacon exhibition time I remember is that Amanda and I, my sister, we went on the beach and we went and saw Jurassic Park 3, and then we went for lunch in the little cafe that I worked in, and my mum and dad were there having lunch. Oh, we got
I would like to that is just such a you thing to happen, you fucking tit. But I would like to just drop into here for, again, anyone that's not from Northern Ireland. On the beak is cutting class. It's what we say is cutting class, or we call it on the beak. You're beaking off school. I don't know why that was a verb.
I know, me too.
Part of a bird.
Or
But
playing
it was-
truant.
Playing truant. Oh, sugar. I love the fact that she got grounded. I quite like the fact that they brought, like, you go all the way down. She's in a mausoleum. She's going through these things, and she's meeting this thing, and she's getting brought out through a fucking
grating.
A grating. Thank you. In a factory somewhere random in this tiny town. It has a massive factory, and then she goes home, and everyone's like, "You're grounded." I don't know, something like, I love that juxtaposition between the high fantasy craziness and her mum absolutely knowing fuck all about it, and is just going, "Do you know what? You're grounded." And I
also love the idea of like the literalness of being grounded and then having to sneak out from the first story of your house. There's just something about that kind of let you make sense why it's called grounded. I mean, obviously, I always knew that's why, but it's funnier because you have to sneak out a window.
Yeah.
To do it. But literally, craziness starts happening at the Bronze. Luke is literally sucking people off left, right, and center. He's literally living my life when I was 17. And basically, you see him go through a bunch of people, and the master's like showing everyone his nails.
Oh, music.
I actually love that little effect where he's like his hand is like, oh yeah, because you can't see me. Is he puts his hand out so you can see like the air kind of ripples, kind of shows he's like stuck in.
Yes, that he. Oh, yes, that's right. I actually remember. Yes, so you can see that he is dimensionally stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though he's physically there, but he actually isn't, or something.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, the power.
The power.
And then yeah, so Luke basically gets to Cordelia.
Here's a pretty one.
And luckily that's when our heroine Buff breaks in, and she literally does like a 13 instep backflip cartwheel up to the stage, which would have been so much easier to just walk over to it.
Yeah. But they had Simone Biles that day, so
Yeah,
might as well use her.
Olympic gold's not going to win itself. We see Willow pours holy water on Darla.
Get off of it!
Which is brilliant, because then Darla's like runs off like a mentalist. And
Holy water
Xander,
doesn't kill them.
that's right, it just burns them.
Burns them.
Xander accidentally stakes Jesse when he's saying like, please bro, don't make me kill you, and then a girl runs past Xander and like bumps him
that's
into
right. I
him.
remember that. I actually loved it. That was actually brilliant. I loved that. That was how that was done.
And I quite like the way Buffy, earlier in the episode when Buffy's kind of talking to Xander about not thinking about him as Jesse, she's like, you need to think about it more like it's a demon just
Thing that
wearing
killed
Jesse's
Jesse?
face. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the demon that killed Jesse that is in him. And Jazz did explain, I think, at one point in the episode about the vampires. It was like the last full-blood demon that left this dimension fed off a human and mixed their blood, and that's how vampires were made. So basically, vampires are like a massive STD.
You will get an STD.
Oh, right, okay.
So it diluted like the pure demon blood with like,
With the human blood, so that made this
Yeah.
half demon, half human thing, which is a vampire.
yeah.
I forgot.
And that's why a lot of other demons and stuff like think vampires are like vermin, disgusting, because
Yeah.
they're like half-bloods.
Yeah.
That's the original J.K. Rowling.
No
No one asked your opinion, you filthy little mudblood.
Buffy tricks Luke into thinking that it's daytime by throwing the music stand past him and smashing the window, and he starts acting like he's being burnt and all already. Like,
Yeah. He looks so much like Nigel Thornberry when he'd look down like that. I need to get you need to drink. Oh, sorry. I digress. Yes, that was
context.
Chekhov's Sunlight. So we
Yes,
got
that
that
was
reference.
what you were referring to when she's like, "Oh yeah, and you got something like sunrise." It's like, isn't it about 4 hours, like moron? And then he turns around and Buffy stakes him right in the back.
Yeah.
And then you see him fall in slow motion and turn into dust, and it looks literally like someone's lifted a handful of sawdust and chucked it down with a bit of glitter.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, very simple and effective. It's great that when you're main villain, like you don't have to worry about burying bodies or anything like
Yeah,
like that.
you just need to sweep them up.
Come on, bucket, mop, broom. Flora says, clean up the room.
And often the vampires that are dusted off screen, you don't hear a noise from them.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was quite interesting. It's
that would be a
choice
good
that-
way to even know that a vampire was dusted if you had a sound. Is that the
Yeah, 'cause
term they use? Is that
yeah.
the term, dusting?
Yeah, dust it. Yeah, because it is very much like it's almost like all the moisture is completely sucked out of their body. And obviously we don't see dusting evolves. In terms of the effects, it actually.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
$8,000 to animate a vampire dusting every time they do it.
I love whenever TV shows have a way of people dying, and yet sometimes it's instantaneous. Sometimes, like for example, Havana Kedavra, and sometimes you're supposed to instantly die, but some of them like. Worry about it. So it's like it's funny that everyone else instantly dies, but it took a couple of seconds for him to die. The falling down.
Yeah.
But I'm just being a wee dick by bringing it up. I'm just gonna. I know someone else out there will have thought of that. And I'm like, I agree with you. We're just gonna suspend our disbelief and just let the plot drive on.
It very much depends on whether they had like one last sarcastic thing to say or whether there's some sort of other plot device that needs to be
Yeah.
delivered.
Has to be done.
And then we kind of cut to the next day at school and we see that Cordelia's kind of recounting what happened last night at the Bronze.
I mean, I don't even remember that much, but I'm telling you, it was a freak show.
And it is almost like there is this vibe in Sunnydale that because these things happen so frequently that it's almost, this is never said, but this is something I always kind of thought was because it was on the Hellmouth, it was almost like people.
Can I just say, can we introduce a new segment called Tony's Headcanon? This is just, you've created this into canon. I'm down for this. I am down for Tony's Headcanon. This is
Tony's Headcanon. I've been called that before.
Dirty bitch.
That's right, that term though, isn't it? Where you create, like, you haven't been explicitly told, but you give background to something that you decide yourself because you're like, that would make more sense. So do you think there's something magical that happens that means that the people don't ever really know what's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of like they either
the Hellmouth?
Yeah, they're kind of like naive or turn their minds and like they forget or the details become a bit foggy or blurry because of the mystical energy from the Hellmouth. Which
I'd be down to believe that.
Because otherwise, why would people keep coming to that town if there's so many like a high record of deaths and demons and all this kind of.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it a bit like, you know, if you live next to like a nuclear power plant and how that obviously that energy would like seep into your life and cause cancer or whatever. Like, what must it do to you living on the Hellmouth?
That's a great, and that was Tony's Headcanon. And I think that's great. I think that's class. That would make sense. It should have been explicitly said that the reason why they don't remember, or maybe it's inexplicit because it's like you can. Whatever. I like that idea. I think if you're willing to accept that people are magical and blah blah blah, there's something going on that means that people forget. Because Cordelia does say something a bit random, doesn't she? She says something very vague.
There is an idea, and it is very normal. People will rationalize things to make it fit the real world.
People have a tendency to rationalize what they can and forget what they can't.
Believe me, I've seen it happen.
Even if it's standing in front of me and spitting gum in my mouth, I'm like, not real. Does that not go to you, no?
No,
they just possess you.
They dildo me.
Hello! I know I want to freshen up!
We end the episode with Buffy and the gang kind of joking. Buffy and her bike gang. Buffy and the gang are kind of joking about what she can do to get kicked out of school.
Well, I gotta look on the bright side. Maybe I can still get kicked out of school.
Maybe you could blow something up. They're really strict about that.
Kind of little comedy moment kind of sets up the tone of the series. Giles kind of looks on and says, "The Earth is doomed." It's like, you know, so 90s. So, yeah.
But it has that. I quite like that little part of the these guys. You know, he's like overlooking them like he's like, no, this gang,
yeah. And it's great, and that's the end, and that's very much the end of our two-parter where we've got these nice little relationships. We've got our protagonist and antagonist all kind of set up for the season. We've got mysteries,
and our lore. We've got the world building as well, happening and stuff, which is great. I thought it was cool. I thought it was an absolute. I do try to put myself in the headspace if I watch this as a, let's say, a 15 or 16, as I even whatever. If I watched this before it existed, and try to put myself in the headspace at that time. And I probably did watch it when it came out, to be fair, but I can't remember.
I also think that probably is why it's having a bit of a resurgence now too, is because it is kind of how would you call that? I'm trying to think of the way structurally, it's kind of structured differently from the way people consume media now, which obviously with Netflix and YouTube, like this was at the time where there was like not really the internet, so you didn't really know what was going to be happening in the next week. You didn't know that there were only 8 movie-sized episodes of this season or whatever. So it was very much like you were living week to week, with no spoilers.
Genuinely,
and it was like, and Buffy's first season very much follows the formula like Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
So it's very much almost like a light-hearted. Like each episode a different story, which I actually love that approach. I know that obviously we love story arcs because there's like more investment. But Joss Whedon is such a good writer that even in these Monster of the Week episodes, he's still an overarching story.
Theme for the season or whatever. I actually think because we go too deep, like think of Marvel. I'm a Marvel fan. I have watched every Marvel film, most of the TV shows. Tony's also a Marvel fan. And I think I went back and watched some old Marvel, just like randomly put on Iron Man and then threw in some random ones I haven't seen in a while. And I was like, do you know what the problem was? Is that they listened. I think the internet, obviously the internet's ruined the world, right? We're all fucked because of the internet. But I think because the loudest voices are those people on the internet and they're the most consistent, as in those people like, and I'm going to say this with the greatest respect, like you, the people who go really deep into, like, who, you know, you knew everything about Buffy, like when we were kids, like you really dived in, like both hands, like really learned as much, but you loved it and you never ever shat on it. I find it really weird that fanatics, so I have this thing in my head where there are people who are fanatics and people who are
Toxic fandom.
Yeah. And like you don't have that, and I love that even when I'm sort of being a wee dick about Buffy, I can feel you getting defensive of the show. And I love that because then that's you coming from that, like, I fucking love this show. Whereas I get really weird that fans end up hating the show more than people who didn't like the show in the first place because, well, actually, technically, Joss Whedon said in episode 1 that this thing happened, and then when we get to season 7 in episode 2, well, he did this thing, so that means that it's like, fuck up. He forgot. Like, it's okay. Like, I like, sometimes I hate that everything has to be pigeonholed and everything has to be explained. So then it means when you go back to these episodes, you get to use your imagination again and suspend disbelief. Whereas I feel like everything is trying to be written as if, well, if it happened in our world, this is how it would happen. It's like, but it's not our world, so you can write whatever the fuck you want, which is why I quite like the fact that it is a little bit removing myself from this world to go into that world. And whereas sometimes I feel like everything's becoming too realistic to what our world's like, and it's like, I don't want to watch about our world. It's all fucked as it is, so I'd rather go and watch this magical being try to be Thanos.
Well, that's literally the thing too. Like, Buffy is obviously at the core. It's a show about relationships and Judy and she literally she has to go to school. She has to deal with being grounded. She has to deal with trying to make new friends.
It's like 90210 with vampires. So you get all that high school relationship stuff,
like Party of Five.
Dawson's Creek, yes, I can see, because it does have that coming to age thing. Like, she's 16, so she's coming of age, essentially coming of age, and we like Grace it's the same plot as, not the same plot, but like not the same plot.
Whenever Sandy gets called the Vampire Slayer.
Tell me about it.
Buffy.
But Sandy's new, isn't she?
Oh yeah, Sandy's new to the school, yeah.
So it is not dissimilar from the, like, I know it's a completely different plot, but it's still that, like, the new person comes to school, 10 things I hate about you, that sort of, like, you know what I mean? Those sorts of like high school dramas, but whereas they just throw in this magical element, and I quite like. I thought it was great, and I imagine as a teenager I definitely did. I just never got deep into it as you did. I think sometimes as well you got so deep into it that it put me off even never wanting to watch it.
Fuck you, bitch.
That's what my dad has always said, that like he did like Buffy, and then I turned him off, basically, about how much I was
obsessed.
Daddy,
I love Buffy.
Whenever we went to like high school, what do we call it? Secondary school. Okay, so whenever we went to secondary school, obviously that's also when we moved house, and the area that like we kind of moved to was like away from anyone that it was quite far, and
yeah, it was.
I didn't really have that, even though obviously I would stay at your house like on the weekends and stuff. During the week was still also a time where it's like I wouldn't have went out during the week, or like just doing normal things like going out to like play or do whatever. I literally was like either doing my homework or watching Buffy, which to me was like, I don't even say that in a bad way, because obviously it was great for me in school because I did very well, but then also it was like, I think when I think back at watching Buffy, my memory of it feels like so immersive.
Did you feel like you're part of the gang a wee tiny bit?
Yeah, like
like when you were younger, it was like, well, I am in a brand new area, and the area you're in was quite dodgy. So it's not like you're going to go hang out with the UDA. Do you know what I mean?
Best Hell wasn't like that back then.
Oh, was it not? It's not a family that were fucking men.
Yeah, but Bessel it was mixed. Like when we first lived up there, yeah, because there too. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
My mum and her mum got into a fight in the street. My memory of it is like very immersive, as in like I remember almost not like being in it, but I don't remember sitting and watching it.
Yeah.
Which obviously goes to show the power of like the storytelling or the inclusivity, because TVs weren't even like that big back then. You know, literally not that big. And I think I used to watch Buffy on a black and white portable TV when I worked in the Chinese, like on a Thursday. So I was just like so immersed into it.
Yeah, you're so immersed in the story that you took over and colored it and made it a world.
Yeah, just Buffy, just very much. And I think this is the thing. We'll obviously get into this at a different stage later. There's something about being like a young kind of queer person, and your identity my identity felt very like secretive in a way that felt similar to Buffy.
You know his secret identity?
And Buffy's friends kind of celebrated her for being different, and that was something that I was obviously like seeking as well. So it was the show that really actually helped me be okay with who I was.
I'm wondering, is that why it is so popular within the gay community?
Everything in the gay community is a thing.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our second episode. And please keep listening. So the next episode is going to be based on episode 3, which is called
Witch.
I did not know if you would know that off the top of your head, and you did. Of course, you didn't even look at your notes. The Witch.
No, I can name all 144 episodes in chronological order.
Wow, I'm impressed.
And that'll be for our Patreon. We're just going to have loads of videos of Tony just
subscribe if you want to hear me just say
say names over and over again. And yeah, please catch us next time. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Leave a review if you want to, if you like to listen to. Sorry, Tony.
Not really. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all good.
Just change the name of this podcast to David Won't Shut the Fuck Up. I'm joking. If you like what you've heard, make sure to like and subscribe. You're not going to get anything extra for it until we get some money. But yeah, do that. And
you get this for free.
For free?
For free.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, we have plans as well. I think our idea, if we are enjoying what we're doing and you guys are listening, we will try to maybe do a Patreon and maybe you could do a watch along with us. And all of us will sit down and watch the show and chat about it as we're doing it. I don't know.
These first 2 episodes, we're finding our feeting, and we're finding our feeting. We're finding our feet, or we're getting our footing. Grading. We're falling down great. We're getting we're literally. Let us know what you think. Obviously, we're just sitting down to do this quite naturally and talking about stuff. So if that's for you, then great. If it's not for you, then don't tell anyone else not to listen to us.
Yeah, don't listen.
If you don't like it, just, as my mum says, just fuck way right down your own door.
And with that, we'll see you next time.
Yes. Au revoir. That's French for bye.